There is something unsettling about the rooms customers are not supposed to see. The stockroom behind a store, the employee hallway behind a movie theater, the basement under a restaurant. During the day, these places seem normal. They are just where workers keep boxes, cleaning supplies, uniforms, and old equipment. But late at night, those same back rooms feel completely different. They are quiet, usually windowless, usually half-lit, and most of the time, nobody would hear you if something went wrong. These are 3 allegedly true backroom horror stories. This happened when I was 19. I worked at a small clothing store in a strip mall. The front of the store was bright and normal, but the stockroom in the back was narrow, cold, badly lit, and packed with shelves full of boxes. There was also a back door that led into the alley behind the store. That door was supposed to stay locked at all times. One Friday night, I was closing with my manager, Dana. The store closed at 9, and by 9:20, we had locked the front doors and turned off most of the lights. Dana was counting the register while I was in the stockroom, breaking down boxes from a shipment. I had one earbud in and was cutting open a box when I heard something fall at the far end of the room. I looked over and saw a few shoeboxes on the floor. That was not unusual, so I picked them up and went back to work. A few minutes later, I heard another sound. This time, it was a slow scraping noise, like something being dragged across the floor. I took out my earbud and listened. Nothing. Then I heard it again. I called out, "Dana?" No answer. I stepped around one of the shelves and looked toward the back door. That was when I saw it. The door was cracked open, only a few inches, but enough to see the darkness of the alley outside. I knew I had locked it earlier because Dana always made me check it before closing. I went to the front and told her the back door was open. She came back looking annoyed, but when she saw it, her face changed. She told me to stay near the office while she went to close it. Right before she reached the door, we both heard movement behind one of the shelves. It sounded like fabric rubbing against cardboard. Dana froze. Then we heard breathing. Someone was hiding back there. Dana yelled, "Hello? The store is closed." Nobody answered. Then a man stepped out from between 2 shelves. He was wearing a black hoodie, dark jeans, and a paper mask over his face. In his hand was a box cutter. Dana backed up, and I just stood there frozen. The man didn't say anything. He looked at both of us for a second, then ran out the back door into the alley. Dana locked the door and called the police. While we waited, she pulled up the security footage. The camera showed the man entering through the back door at around 8:40. That meant he came in before we closed. He had been hiding in the stockroom for almost 40 minutes while we were still helping customers. The video showed him crouched behind the shelves, watching me while I worked. At one point, I was standing less than 6 feet away from him with my back turned. When police searched the stockroom, they found a backpack hidden behind a shelf. Inside were zip ties, duct tape, a change of clothes, and another box cutter. There was also a receipt from our store dated 3 days earlier. On the back of it, my first name was written over and over again. I had no idea who he was. The police said he may have been watching the store before that night. They never caught him. I quit the next day. What scared me most was not that he broke in. It was that he was already inside. And for almost an hour, I had no idea.
This happened when I worked at a movie theater. I was 17, and it was my first job. Behind the concession stand, there was a long employee hallway that connected everything. The break room, manager's office, storage room, janitor closet, projector rooms, and a back exit. Customers never went back there. During the day it was fine, but after closing, that hallway felt terrible. It was narrow, windowless, and the fluorescent lights buzzed constantly. One night, I was scheduled to close. The last movie ended around midnight, and by 12:30, almost everyone was gone. There were only 3 of us left: me, another employee named Chris, and our manager, Tanya. Chris was cleaning one of the theaters, Tanya was in the office counting money, and I was taking inventory in the storage room near the end of the employee hallway. While I was counting boxes of candy, I heard the back exit open. That door had a loud metal click, so I knew exactly what it was. I assumed it was Chris taking out trash. Then I heard footsteps in the hallway, slow footsteps. I called out, "Chris?" No answer. The footsteps stopped. Then they started again. I stepped out of the storage room and looked down the hallway. At the far end, near the back exit, a man in a gray hoodie was standing under one of the lights. It was not Chris. The man took one step toward me. I went back into the storage room and shut the door. The problem was, the door did not lock from the inside. I called Tanya, but she didn't answer. Then I texted her, "There is a guy in the back hallway." After that, I called Chris. He answered in a whisper. Before I could say anything, he said, "Where are you?" I told him I was in the storage room. He said, "Do not come out." Chris told me he was hiding in Theater 6. He had seen the same man come in through the emergency exit at the bottom of the theater. At first, he thought it was a customer. Then he saw the man was holding a screwdriver. I stood there holding the storage room door handle as tight as I could. Then the footsteps came closer. They stopped right outside the door. I saw a shadow at the bottom. The handle moved. I pulled back on it with both hands. The man tried the door once, then again. Then he knocked. He said, "Manager?" I didn't answer. He knocked again and said, "Manager, I need help." His voice sounded fake, like he was trying to sound harmless. My phone buzzed. It was Tanya. She texted, "Police are on the way. Stay where you are." The man must have heard the vibration because the hallway went silent. Then he said, "I can hear you." A few seconds later, he shoved the door hard. It opened about an inch before I pulled it shut again. I grabbed a metal candy display stand and held it like a weapon. He pushed the door again, and this time it opened wider. I screamed as loud as I could. That must have scared him because he let go and ran. I heard him sprint down the hallway, then the back exit slammed shut. Police arrived a few minutes later. They found Tanya locked in the office and Chris hiding in Theater 6. The man was gone. The next day, Tanya reviewed the cameras. The footage showed the man buying a ticket for the last movie of the night, but he never watched it. He sat in the back row for a few minutes, walked down to the emergency exit, propped it open with folded cardboard, and left through the front like a normal customer. Then, about an hour later, after most of the staff had left, he came back through that same emergency door. He tried the manager's office first. Then he walked toward the storage room where I was. The police never found him. I quit 2 weeks later. What bothered me most was how planned it was. He bought a ticket, found the exit, propped it open, left, then came back when the theater was almost empty. I still go to movies sometimes, but I never sit near the emergency exits. And whenever I see one at the bottom of a theater, I check to make sure it is fully closed.
This happened when I was 22. I worked at a small Italian restaurant downtown. The dining room was always loud and busy, but underneath the restaurant was a basement we used for storage. I hated going down there. It was cold, damp, unfinished, and the lights were just a few exposed bulbs hanging from the ceiling. We kept wine, napkins, dry pasta, cleaning supplies, and old equipment down there. There was also a second door in the basement that led to a narrow stairwell going up to the alley behind the restaurant. That door was supposed to stay locked. One Saturday night, we were slammed. Around 10:45, one of the cooks told me we were out of a wine that a table had ordered and asked me to grab a few bottles from the basement. I went through the kitchen, opened the basement door, and started down the stairs. The second I got down there, something felt wrong. Usually the only sound was the hum of the old refrigerator in the corner, but this time I heard a quiet clicking sound, like metal tapping against concrete. Click, click, click. It was coming from the area near the alley door. I almost went back upstairs, but the restaurant was busy, and I didn't want everyone to think I was scared of a noise. So I grabbed the wine from the shelf. When I turned around, I noticed the alley door. It was cracked open, only a few inches. Then I heard something move behind the shelves. I called out, "Hello?" No answer. I said, "Is someone down here?" Still nothing. Then I heard breathing, low, shaky breathing. I set the wine bottles down as quietly as I could and started backing toward the stairs. As soon as I moved, whoever was behind the shelves moved too. I heard fast footsteps on the other side. I ran up the stairs, slammed the basement door behind me, and yelled for the owner. His name was Marco, and he grabbed a kitchen knife while one of the cooks called police. Marco opened the basement door and yelled, "Whoever is down there, police are coming!" For a few seconds there was no sound. Then we heard the alley door slam shut downstairs. Marco and one of the cooks went down, but whoever it was had already left. When police searched the basement, they found a small blanket, a backpack, food wrappers, and a half-empty water bottle hidden behind one of the shelves. Someone had been sleeping down there, and not just for one night. The police said it looked like the person had been living there for days. Marco checked the alley camera. The footage showed a man entering through the alley door at 2:13 in the morning, 3 nights earlier. He picked the lock, went down into the basement, and never came back out on camera. That meant he had been under the restaurant for 3 days while we were working above him. The camera also showed him coming upstairs into the kitchen after closing one night. He opened the fridge, ate food with his hands, walked around in the dark, then went back downstairs. But the worst footage was from the night I found the door open. At 10:39, while the restaurant was full of customers and employees, the man opened the basement door from the inside and looked up into the kitchen. Nobody noticed. He stood there for almost 30 seconds, watching everyone work. Then he went back down and left the basement door cracked. 6 minutes later, I went downstairs for the wine. That means he heard me coming and hid behind the shelves. The police took the backpack, but they never found him. Marco changed the locks and added cameras inside the basement. I stayed at that job for another month, but I never went downstairs again. The scariest part is thinking about all the times I had gone into that basement alone before that night. All the times I thought I was by myself, and all the times he may have been standing just a few feet away, holding his breath, waiting for me to leave. Backrooms are easy to ignore because they are not meant for us to think about. They are the places behind the places. The storage rooms, employee hallways, basements, stockrooms, and service corridors that most people walk past without ever noticing. But those are also the places where cameras are missing, where doors are forgotten, where people can hide, and where a normal shift
can turn into the worst night of your life. Because sometimes, the scariest thing about the back room is realizing you were never alone in it.